Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's been a while since I've done one of these videos, right? I only have 2 more weeks left in this room, so the next time you see me, I won't be in this dorm anymore. It's kind of sad I have to move out so soon because my time as a student is ending. But don't worry, I'm still here in Japan for another 6 months or so don't worry, there will still be more videos. So lately I've been getting a lot of questions about my time here in Japan, and I thought I would take this time to finally answer them all. So I have all the questions here on my computer, so if you see me glancing this way, it's because I'm reading them off of it. Alright, so the first question is related to the application to Waseda. Alright, so the question is, did you submit any academic references to Waseda while you were applying? So for that, I did have to submit a letter of recommendation from a prof at my home university back in Canada. So the main thing with that is that you have to make sure that the prof you ask the recommendation letter from is a full-time prof. I first asked my Japanese teacher if she could send me a letter of recommendation for my application, but I did not know that she was only a part-time prof. So then Waseda contacted me and said that they couldn't accept this because she was a part-time prof. They needed a full-time prof. So keep that in mind. Make sure you get a letter of recommendation from a full-time prof, not a part-time prof. So the second question was, I was under the assumption that the term at Waseda doesn't start until late September. Was there a specific date that you were required to check into residence? Alright, so for residence, we did have to check in either the 7th or the 8th of September. Of course, it's going to change every year. Those were the 2 days where they offered a free limousine service to get to the dorm from the airport. So obviously I chose to arrive on one of those days so I could get the ride to my home. And for those who needed to arrive later, that was perfectly fine as well. You just had to find your own way to the dorm. Why did you arrive so early in September? I thought that school didn't start until late September. So basically, yes, school did start at the end of September, but it was really nice that we got to arrive early because that gave us so much time to adjust to the city and travel around before we had to get down and start studying. And that was a great way to meet new people as well, make new friends in those 3 weeks that we had before school started. So that was really nice. Next question is, did you bring linen or did you buy it in Japan or was it provided? So yes, here linen is provided. So I'm in Waseda Hoshien. I don't know if all the dorms are like this, but I'm pretty sure that each dorm provides linen. So you don't need to worry about that. In fact, yeah, if you just look at my bed right here, everything but Snorlax was provided. So the only thing is that you do have to pay a linen fee, but that's okay. You just pay it once and then that's it. You just paid in your first month's rent. So the next question is, how much luggage did you bring to Japan? What did you pack? And do you have any recommendations on must-brings? Alright, so I brought 2 large suitcases and I kept them pretty much semi-full. I didn't want to pack too much because I knew I was going to buy a lot more here and bring it back home. But the main things that I brought were like clothes, toiletries, you know, all the essential stuff, walking shoes, bring really comfortable walking shoes. What I did forget to bring was a bath towel. The bath towels are pretty small, so I recommend bringing one from home so that you know it's long enough for you. Yeah, for those who have been watching my earlier videos, I'm sure you remember how much I struggled finding a bath towel. Yeah, that was quite the journey. Man, that was a long time ago. Next one is, does the dorm have any native Japanese students or are there just international students? So yes, in my dorm, Waseda Hoshien, we are all international students. There's people from all over the world. Lots of Europeans, Americans, only a select few from Canada. But nope, no Japanese students live here. The only Japanese students that live here are the RAs, which are the residence advisors. They basically just like take care of the students. If they need any help with anything, they're there to answer questions, help you adjust, and they're all super awesome. I'm really glad that I met them. They're really nice and yeah, they're just fun to hang around too. Alright, so the next question has to do with comparing residences here. Basically, the question is, I heard that Nishiwaseda is good, but is Hoshien better? And were you able to choose what dorm you want to live in? So yes, answering the first question, so I've only seen the outside of Nishiwaseda. Only those who live in that dorm can enter it, so I can't enter it at all. Let's see, I know that it's cheaper than Waseda Hoshien, and I know that you could get a roommate in that dorm. But other than that, I really know nothing about it. And it seems okay. I think it's a little smaller, if anything. And I don't think they have like a big common room like they have here. During the second question about whether I was able to choose what dorm I lived in or not, nope, I was not able to choose at all. Basically, the way to apply for residence was to go online and fill out a questionnaire that they asked you to do. And then from there, they basically choose which dorm would fit best with you based on your questions, or based on your answers from the questionnaire. And that's pretty much it, yeah. The next question is, how difficult was it to get set up, and did you get a Japanese cell phone and bank account? And was it hard setting up national health insurance as well? Alright, so to be honest, I want to say that I'm still not quite set up with everything here. I don't have a cell phone yet, and my bank account has barely been used. Has not been used at all, actually. So, but pretty much, I think for everything else, like the national health insurance, I went there on my third day with a whole bunch of other people, and we went with someone who had done it a week beforehand, so they knew what to do. So they basically just helped us through it. I know that Waseda also holds info sessions on how to do all this stuff, and I think you could go with a whole bunch of other students to do it with the staff members. But because we knew that so many people would do that, my friends and I, we decided to do it earlier so that we would beat the rush. For the cell phone and bank account, yeah, I just never got either of those, really. I never got a cell phone, and I've been fine without one, actually. I've just been living off of Wi-Fi that's available anywhere I go. But I guess for those who really rely on Wi-Fi, especially when it comes to looking up directions and stuff, I definitely suggest getting a data plan. But otherwise, I think it's okay. I mean, Wi-Fi is available at train stations and in 7-Elevens and Family Marts, so it's not too hard to get around. Moving on to questions about classes. So the next question is, how many classes are you taking, and how does your schedule look like? And how did course selection work? Alright, so I'm taking 5 courses, and I usually have about 1 or 2 classes a day. Usually it lasts about 3 hours or an hour and a half, depending on which class. As for course selection, it's a really weird process. So you basically have to go through a lottery system, register for classes online. But if too many people register for one class, it becomes over-enrolled. And that's when the system just chooses people randomly, so people who either get in or not. It's really annoying. I remember having to go through this, and I had to go through so many rounds where I would get over-enrolled in a class, and eventually I just had to pick one that was just random. A really annoying system, to be honest, because it's so unreliable. But eventually you get a course that you either want or just have to stick with. Alright, the next question is, how heavy is the workload compared to your workload in Canada? How much do you study for your classes? I want to say that the workload here is pretty easy. I mean, some classes are harder than others, but typically I'm not studying as much as I am back at home. I could definitely say that you could get away with slacking off a lot more here than back in Canada. Haha. Next question is, what would you say is the average Japanese ability among the exchange students? I have a friend who's very good at Japanese, and I feel like I'm not that good. And how do you feel your Japanese has improved in the last months? Wow. Sad to say, I really don't think that my Japanese has improved that much. But it's my own fault. I've been hanging out with all the international students too much, and I haven't been studying as much. Ever since I got here to Japan, I just feel like I don't want to study Japanese. It's really weird. I think I'd rather just go out and explore the city with friends instead of staying cooped up in a room with my textbook and just studying all day. That's just my logic on all this. I think in the upcoming months, I think I'm going to try a lot harder to improve my Japanese and study a lot more, and at least make more Japanese friends. Alright, so moving on to questions about social life. So, how easy was it to make friends? Are most of your friends exchange students or Japanese? Well, I think I answered that in the previous question, actually. Because of living in res, it was really easy to make friends. Everyone was already open and willing to become friends with everyone. I remember the first couple of weeks, everyone would just go out to eat all together, and it'd be really hard to get into restaurants because we'd be too many people. All the people I've met here are super awesome and super friendly, and I've loved getting to know everyone. To answer the second question, as most of you have noticed from my videos, I've made friends with a lot of European people, right? So even though I came to Japan to meet Japanese people, I've met way more people from Europe. Like I said before, they're an amazing group of people. I've enjoyed every moment I've spent with them. They're just so fun, and they make fun of me all the time for being Canadian. So the next question is, why did most exchange students come to Japan? For example, did they like anime or go for idols or J-drama? Or did they want to come just because to see Japan? Alright, so most of the exchange students that I know, they mostly came here to experience a new country and a new culture and everything, and they thought that Japan was just really cool in general. And others came here because they've been studying Japanese for a while or just really like the culture as well. So my reason is because I've been studying Japanese for a while and I've always been interested in the culture and the language. Yeah, it's been my dream since I was 15 to come here. So I was working really hard to get here. And I finally did. And as you've probably guessed from my older videos on my channel, you probably know by now that I really like idols, especially news. So I will admit that is the reason I got into Japan in the first place. But you know what, that's a story for another time. I will talk about that in another video, maybe, or never. So, last question. The last question is about circles. Alright, so how did you choose the circles that you joined? Was there like a club stay, like they have in Canada, or is it different in Japan? Something like that. So to answer that question, because I came in the second semester of the year, there wasn't really like a club stay when I came. So I didn't really get to see all the clubs that were offered here in Waseda. So typically at the start of the school year, which is in April here in Japan, there should be a club stay or some kind of event where all the clubs advertise themselves. So as for the clubs that I joined though, I basically just got approached by some of the members of the clubs, and they just kind of were recruiting new international students. They just handed us a flyer and said, yeah, come join us if you like music or dance. And because I like music and dance, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm totally gonna go for that. And then from there, the rest is history. So it was really fun to join those clubs, and I definitely recommend doing any of them here at Waseda or any school you go to. Like I said before in another video, just go for it, have fun, make new friends. Alright, so that's the end of all the questions. If you have any more, just message me below or send me a private message and I'll gladly answer them. Alright, so hope you enjoyed this video and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye!